Moving supply inspections are more thorough. Land invasion is simply impossible. What about the invasion path at sea? It's actually very difficult. Even if a small boat is prepared to approach, it is impossible not to be discovered. Even if it is finally attached to the supership, it will still have to climb into the ship's frighteningly high belly. Although I'm still level 5, I'm still a little reluctant to sneak in with a god. I raised this opinion with the last glimmer of hope, but Lord Hermes smiled and replied simply. He said, "So do it, from the air." What? I completely forgot about not being noticed by the school district, and the screams merged into the violent roar of the wind. Borrowed from the family room, let's get the jet black helmet, the helm of Hades, and the flying boots. Is this really correct? Of course. This is a successful invasion of heaven. I will ask you to operate it well from now on, Belkuin. I don't know how to operate it. In order not to be covered by the wind that seemed to swallow our hearing, we tried our best to speak loudly and were forced to wear Mrs. Asfi's clothes. Flying boots, the spare parts. I'm in the middle of a fall. It's been about 10 minutes since I put on this magical item that I didn't know how to use. After becoming transparent with Lord Hermes, who was wearing a suspicious helmet, I managed to float unsteadily into the sky, hiding from everyone's eyes and reaching the top of the distant school zone, but the miracle ended there. Now, Lord Hermes and I are falling from about 500 meters above like fools whose wax wings have been melted. I heard that Hestia and Asphite took a trip through the sky without telling us. So of course we have to have a heartbeat, two-man landing, right? The wrong time to say this. Hermes-sama, who was holding his arms, kept laughing in my ear, and my bangs and clothes were all messed up from the wind pressure. It was different from when he fell from the giant blue waterfall. Now a primal feeling of terror arose from his abdomen and great tears welled up from the corners of his eyes. The tears just formed and immediately flew away. As if the gods in the sky were laughing as they watched me gradually sinking into panic, the artificial earth was visibly approaching to the naked eye. I successfully landed in the corner of the school district, where wooden boxes and other things were piled up, the materials storage area. In the moment before the violent conflict, as if reacting to my screams, the flying boots opened its four wings and braked suddenly, but it was just a drop in the ocean. I couldn't completely stop the momentum and ran towards the wooden box hill with my feet in front, making a somewhat exaggerated sound. Still alive. Oh, it's level 5 as expected. I was unharmed even though I was luggage. I'm making great progress, Belkuin. I tried my best, thinking that the only thing I wanted to do was after protecting the god. Lord Hermes didn't even have a scratch and was even in a very good mood. He straightened up and was about to burst into laughter, but at this moment. What was that noise just now? It must be another intruder from Orario. Accompanied by the sharp sound of the siren, the surroundings suddenly became noisy. This, there is no doubt that it should be. The invasion was exposed. After all, she made such a loud noise. In my mind, I slapped my hands over my face and screamed as I hurriedly stood up. Stay in the transparent state and run away. That way you don't have to worry about being discovered. Actually, they invaded with black helmets a long time ago. As a result, the school district has developed a system that can see through transparent people. It's a magical tool. What are you doing? It turns out that you have a criminal record. No wonder the school district, including the port, maintains such strict surveillance. While we were making so much noise, someone's presence had already approached the place where the materials were placed. Then Belkuin, let's do a decoy operation. I just have a bad feeling. What kind of operation is it? You use this as bait and I will run away. Hermes-sama. I didn't even have time to respond. Hermes-sama took off the helmet I was wearing, a magical item that remained transparent even after falling from the sky, and boom. The floor gave me a push. I flew directly over the fragments of the wooden box and sat down on the metal floor. I am really sorry. Lord Hermes apologized in the transparent state and then said, then please, with clear breathing. Stay away from me. In fact, the flying boots were also recycled, and only my shoes were thrown back. Mr. Hermes. Just when I was letting out this shameful cry in my heart. I am talking about you. The uniformed students looked like executioners. At that time I had just put on my shoes, holding my breath and sweating like rain. I feel like a thief being chased to the edge of a cliff. Then. You were caught in the explosion. Aren't you hurt? Why yes, I don't mind. Did you see anyone suspicious? Do you know where it went? I saw it. That, there. I quickly got up. The human student approached me anxiously to express concern. The student was worried about me, who was covered in dust, and wondering about the intruder's whereabouts. I tried not to look into their eyes. I lowered my head and pointed in the completely opposite direction from where Lord Hermes left. That's right. You are so unlucky. Remember to go to the clinic immediately. It must be the Hermes family, again. To invade from the sky, only the Almighty's magical items can do that. The students didn't doubt me. Instead, they comforted me and ran in the direction I indicated. After several demi-humans completely disappeared, this time I truly seemed to have lost all my strength and collapsed to the ground. I'm saved. The feeling of release after the high tension turned into a long sigh, leaking from his mouth. I sat on the ground and looked at the blue sky for a moment, then I staggered to my feet and looked at my body. Mr. Hermes, the reason you asked me to wear a uniform is for this situation. What I'm wearing now is not the clothes I'm used to wearing, nor is it a combat uniform. Instead, it is a school district uniform, just like students now. The base of the suit is white and the collar is a burgundy tie that Mr. Hermes helped me put on. The hem at the waist is divided into two long parts, like the tuxedo he wore at Lord Apollo's banquet. You could say it's a compact style with long sleeves and pants, or you could say it's the tight style the gods say. Well, let's be clear, this outfit fits my body perfectly. Could it be that Lord Hermes planned to let me wear this outfit from the beginning, or that he planned to involve me in this? Otherwise, how could such a uniform be prepared in advance? I wiped my sweat and thought about this matter, and it suddenly dawned on me. Although he managed to avoid suspicion, it was very suspicious to remain at this crash landing site. If I were interrogated, I wouldn't be sure I could deceive the other person. So I left the scene in a hurry. And not long after, I said, exclamation. Hour. After exiting the intricate paths, or rather the divisions, the scenario unfolding before me was enough to make me forget that I was still on a ship. A complex of buildings constructed of white stone and blue roofs. The symmetrical structure alone creates a beautiful atmosphere like a work of art, reminiscent of words like church. Because this is a school district, are all of these buildings educational buildings? I walked along the deserted stone road and looked both ways. The design of the magic stone pole placed on the roadside is very exquisite, not inferior to Orario. It is engraved with graduation work of the 42nd period of craftsmanship, which seems to be the work of a student. Just like the other buildings, the beautiful arches and the goddess statue. I looked around with interest and sighed with excitement. If someone saw me in my current state, they would probably think, this guy is definitely not a student. Even if you say they dug a city somewhere and moved it directly here, I would believe it. The school district is so large and well organized. The limited space on the ship is obviously full of buildings, but probably because of clever planning, I don't feel bored here. In addition to artificial products, evergreen trees are planted everywhere here, which attracts attention. You can also see some shops that are obviously not teaching buildings, although they are not open now, but they still give me the feeling of walking down a street of fashion boutiques or in a high-end residential area that never I managed to do well. This is the school district. This is actually the view from the boat.